Hello and welcome. In this module, I will take you through some of the well-known competency frameworks that relate to business analysis. Knowledge of these frameworks can be very helpful when it comes to deploying, implementing business analysis across an organization. Here is my brief introduction. I have been a business analyst for more than a decade, but also brought in other skills and competencies from architecture and quality assurance and project management, to name but a few. Let us revise what we mean by business analysis. Then we look at the frameworks: SFIA, SFIA, IIBA, and AIBA, and then there may be many more, but these are the ones that we focus on. And later you may want to do a small exercise in ascertaining your own SFIA level. So what is business analysis? I would say it is a key mechanism for understanding a problem in great detail and participating in solving it. And since the problems, particularly business problems, are ambiguous, complex, and highly volatile, business analysis has to deal with all of them. Business analysis also identifies, prioritizes, scopes, and defines the problems that will enable their solution. Business analysis is a profession of asking questions so that we can arrive at the root cause of those business problems. It's a profession that anticipates and actively looks out for change rather than avoid change. So business analysis learns from various other analytical disciplines: statistical analysis, systems analysis, data analysis, even psychoanalysis, which is a profession of asking questions and listening. Business analysis understands a problem by breaking it down into its elemental level and then again putting it together in a holistic manner. These are the core areas of work that a business analyst undertakes. Business analysis deals with business needs, and those needs are high-level abstract business needs like enhancing customer experience, or whether we should be merging with another organization or acquiring a company. Business analysis deals with capabilities of the organization, studying the existing applications, studying the existing business architecture, interacting with the enterprise architects and solutions architects to figure out the technical capabilities, and so on. and then dealing with the functional needs, functional requirements, and operational requirements of the organization. So with that brief introduction, let us now look at what business analysis frameworks can help us put this BA work in perspective and also help us deploy it either through a business analysis center of excellence or even without it. As I mentioned, there are three major frameworks that are popular in the business analysis space. The International Institute of Business Analysis has got their framework put together as BABOK or Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. AIBA, Australian Institute of Business Analysis, they got their own competency framework, and Skills Framework for Information Age, or SFIA, which is a UK based framework. And then these frameworks interact with other frameworks for project management like PMBOK or Prince2, agile methods, testing methods, and so on. I have put my own thoughts on these frameworks to highlight that these professional based frameworks, so one for business analysis, another for enterprise architecture, third for pure business like Six Sigma or um, any other TQM, they all need to sit together with each other, and that's composite agile method and strategy. That's only for your information. We are not going into that in this chat. SFIA is a UK consortium that has put together a framework which is made up of 86 specialist skill set, and those skill sets are divided into categories and subcategories, and these then interface with four generic skill sets: autonomy, influence, complexity, and business skills. And eventually SFIA produces a understanding through a level for a business analyst, and the levels are from 1, where a person follows, through to 7, where a person in that particular role is able to set the strategy for an organization. SFIA has been used to profile participants for the Australian Computer Society's various subjects, including business analysis. SFIA has defined business analysis as a specialist skill set that is a methodical approach to investigating, analyzing, reviewing, and documenting all or part of a business in terms of its main business functions, its underlying processes, and then working out how the information is to be used by that business. So the business analysis capabilities can be supported by a part of the SFIA skill set, which deals with requirements definition and management at a high level, change implementation, planning and management, because business analysts are involved with change, and improving business processes through as is to be process mappings, through re-engineering, through identification of patterns of functional behavior, and so on. The 7 roles, or the 7 levels, I should say, of SFIA are described here. Level 1 could be a data analyst or a technical analyst. Level 2 could be a requirements modeler or a test modeler. So level 2 is assist, level 1 is follow, level 3 is apply. So a functional operational business analyst conducting workshops, requirements modeling workshops, capturing requirements, documenting them. Level 4 is a re-engineering analyst, someone who is working at a high process level and dealing with re-engineering, which would involve not only processes but also people and technologies. So this is an enabler role, and it has a wide ranging organizational influence. Level 5 is typically a governance analyst, a business um, architect, someone who is associated with ensuring that the business analysis processes and even other processes are being followed, and is able to advise, is able to consult. So this level is a consulting BA level, if you like. Level 6 is where typically a very senior person in an organization is able to initiate change, undertake business transformation initiative, deals holistically with the business, but still is dealing with the organization. Level 7 would be a CEO, a chief business officer, a owner, a leader, a strategist who is also able to inspire the entire organization for change. And this particular level, a person functioning at this particular level, has not only the influence on the organization but also across the industry. I have picked 10 categories out of the 86 skill set, that is categories and subcategories. I have picked 10 of them that relate directly to business analysis, and you can see up on top the codes associated with these 10, which include things like business analysis, data analysis, process mapping, quality assurance, requirements management, and so on. And you can see them all in great detail on the SFIA website. And then there are 4 generic skill sets, which is autonomy, influence, complexity with which a person is dealing, and the business skills. And together the specific BA skill set and the generic skill set would help us arrive at a profile of a person. And at the end of this module, I have given you a simple spreadsheet, but I encourage you to explore further and see various mechanisms available for SFIA profiling, but then use the spreadsheet to create a self-assessment for yourself. Now, such a framework can be immensely helpful when a business undergoes transformation that is dealing with business analysis. If you have to establish a center of excellence which will provide service and support in BA skills to the rest of the organization, you will need to come up with some sort of a profiling like this one. SFIA levels can also be mapped to the various activities, the various functions that are happening in business, and this is a very rough pyramid to map work such as requirements modeling, operational quality data at SFIA level 1 to 4. Very rough, very wide range. Then the needs and the capabilities and the goals at SFIA level 4 to 6, and eventually vision and strategy at SFIA level 6 and 7. Another framework that has been put together by the Australian Institute of Business Analysis is the AIBA framework. It's made up of 4 categories of competencies: the creativity and innovation C&I, which are also called integral competencies, the design and redesign lateral competencies, analysis and improvement logical group of competencies, and translation and communication literal group of competencies. And there is a rough mapping between these 4 groups and the 6 thinking hats of Edward de Bono. So creativity and innovation deal with the blue hat, looking at the big picture. Design and redesign is creativity, the green hat. Analysis and improvement is yellow hat, dealing with benefits. And translation and communication is the white hat, deals with basic information, mechanisms to communicate, to speak, to listen, to record, to translate, and so on. And these competency groups are described here in further detail. There are totally 22 competencies, 6 in translation and communication, like visual and written communication, presentation and oral communication, listening and interpretation, engaging with people, negotiating and facilitating, contextualizing the problem, and translating and clarifying. The analysis and improvement group is made up of numbers, ability to deal with numbers or numerical competence, ability to put together metrics and measurements for quality in particular, then re-engineering, then process mapping, pattern matching, planning and management, and ability to challenge status quo. There are 7 of them in this group. Definition and redefinition deals with holistic change, root cause analysis, outcome focus, value stream mapping and value focus, and critical thinking, 5 of them. And the last 4, which are the most abstract, deal with innovation, opportunistic thinking, lateral thinking, and meta thinking. So this is the AIBA framework, specifically aimed at business analysis. Each competency is then measured on 3 dimensions, one of which is skills, the other is mindset, and the third is impact or influence. This particular slide highlights the mindset. There are 4 scales for mindset: strategic, operating model, process oriented, and technical. And technical may not always mean technology as in information technology, but simply ability to use a tool or a technique as specified. And the mindset can vary from business requirements at a very high level to technical design at the fundamental base level. Here is a rough mapping between the SFIA, SFIA and AIBA. So for example, the levels of AIBA, which are 9, compared to the 7 levels of SFIA, and then the generic and specific skills compared to the uh, measures or competencies. So this is one comparison, and then the skills compared with the competencies, and so on. The third framework is IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysis, and it is documented in BABOK, Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, and it is made up of 3 dimensions as well: knowledge areas, competencies, and techniques. BABOK is defining business analysis here for you as a set of tasks and techniques to understand the structure and the policies and the operations of an organization. So it does deal with the capabilities that I had described earlier, or understanding the capabilities of an organization as done by a business analyst, and then define goals and connect specific objectives. So here is further description of business analysis: understanding the real needs, the actual needs, rather than wants or wishes, and also facilitating communication between organizational units and between different roles like architecture and quality assurance and project management and testing. That's what business analysis does. BABOK has these 6 knowledge areas, and each of them are described in great detail in the book. Business analysis planning and monitoring, elicitation of requirements both at a high business level and at functional level, requirements management and communication across the board, enterprise analysis for both for all 3 people, processes and technologies systems, the stock standard requirements analysis, which means modeling of requirements, reviewing them, documenting them, and keeping them updated, and then solution assessment and its validation. So the solution that is provided needs to be validated against the requirements, and that is where business analysts play a crucial role. So these are the 6 knowledge areas. Then there are underlying competencies, and again there are 6 groups of competencies which can be applied together with the knowledge areas or work areas in an organization: analytical thinking and problem solving, behavioral characteristics like ethics and trustworthiness, business knowledge, that is knowledge about the specific business and then the general business principles as applied to the specific business, communication skills, the 4th suite of competencies: ability to speak, listen, interpret, write, interaction and negotiation skills, which enables a business analyst to be a facilitator, and software application skills. And here we are learning about the way in which software applications are being used in a business. Third dimension, so knowledge areas, competencies and techniques, and here are just examples of some techniques. At business level, there can be techniques like brainstorming, root cause analysis, KPI setting, metrics, risk analysis, SWOT analysis, modeling of an organization, and many more. And then there are techniques in the requirement space like functional decomposition, use cases and scenario creation, user stories for documenting scenarios, sequence and state diagrams for documenting interactions and states, business rules analysis, process modeling, requirements workshopping, and tracking problems. So these are example techniques for business analysis in BABOK, and there are many more that we have to go into. So that completes a brief review of the frameworks. I believe these frameworks are extremely important when you are setting up a business analysis center of excellence, or in fact any center of excellence. You can't be using all these frameworks simultaneously, so you have to pick and choose, or you may have an internal framework for business analysis and you can take ideas from here as relevant and as permitted to have an internal BA framework. Let's now briefly chat about the BA Agile in the context of these frameworks, because whether we like it or not, business analysis has to deal with this new major popular movement of Agile. These competency frameworks, as you noticed, don't yet discuss agility in detail. But Agile practices can be very helpful in the success of a project. So we need to consider Agile practices in the various activities or phases of business analysis, like needs exploration, functional and non-functional modeling, quality assurance and testing, and so on. So if you look at a agile method like Scrum, which has its backlogs and iterations and sprints and so on, we find that a business analyst is involved in many of these practices, if you like, in creation of iterations, in helping the Scrum Master prioritize their product backlog, in participating in the sprint, and also in validating, that is testing. So in my opinion, business analysis has a fairly significant role to play even if a project is purely agile. As I mentioned to you at the start when I was describing the three frameworks, that I am for a composite agile approach, CAMS, composite agile method and strategy, because I find that using a pure agile life cycle like the one shown over here does not provide me with enough control and enough reporting and enough governance, especially in a large project and in projects that are not development centric. In such projects, in large projects where risk is high, I refuse to use pure agile. Instead, I use composite agile, CAMS, wherein I have an umbrella upon top of traditional or formal or planned method, and agile practices are embedded in it. And that's where business analysis also gets embedded. So here is the touch point for business analysis work in a agile deployment. Agile is involving planning, product backlog and sprint backlog on the left, then the sprint, then the iterations and releases on the right. So I as a business analyst can help in scoping the functional and non-functional requirements. I can help in prioritizing and helping the project manager or the scrum master in tracking. I can be an observer and I can provide heaps of clarification during a sprint. I can be involved in testing, including usability and user experience test in the sprint, and then also eventually in the user acceptance testing or UAT. When the product increments are released, I can be involved in the non-functional requirements testing and in integration testing. So these are only some examples of touch points between business analysis and agile. And we have had a look at them in the past, but now we are saying if we use any one of those frameworks, then those frameworks through their competencies, skills and knowledge area provide us with a means, a mechanism to play a very positive role in an agile project. So that covers my discussion on the business analysis frameworks. International Institute of Business Analysis IIBA has BABOK. Australian Institute of Business Analysis AIBA has its own framework, and skills framework for information age, which is the most important in the context of this particular course. The Australian Computer Society is using it, SFIA. I would now ask you guys to go and have a look at the SFIA profiler that I have provided and try and ascertain where you stand in terms of the SFIA levels 1 to 7. It's not a diagnostic exam. It's just a self-assessment to figure out where you are, and also learn how to use a SFIA profiler, which can also be very, very handy if you are asked to be a part of or to deploy business analysis framework within a business analysis center of excellence. So that's it from now from me, Bhuvan Unhelkar signing off. Thank you. Bye bye.